What's up, everyone? Today we're diving into the latest news and updates for Crimson Desert. I've pulled together clips and info from creators across the community, so credit to them in the description. Let's get into it.
You can actually... Did you know in Crimson Desert you can actually rip trees out of the ground and use them as weapons? There's a skill called Nature's Grasp that lets you pick up huge objects. It's mainly meant for puzzles and quest objectives, but you can actually use it in combat. And yes, that means that you can literally pull a tree out of the ground and start smashing enemies with it like a giant club. What's even cooler is that you unlock some of these abilities through an observation system that's similar to Where Winds Meet, where watching certain enemies perform certain actions can teach you the skills. And if you've already spent those points on skills in the skill tree, learning it through observation will actually refund those points back to you, so you're not wasting anything. Which is really cool because it means that you're rewarded for experimenting and paying attention during fights. So yeah, pulling trees out of the ground might actually be the least craziest thing that you can do in this game.
Desert is real. Everything they showed us is actually in the game. PC performance, staggering. 4K native, mostly ultra settings on a last-gen AMD card, a stable 80 frames per second. This is confirmed by Luke Stevens. Console performance is still up in the air. One Korean creator is claiming they saw a 60 FPS performance mode on PS5, but nothing is officially confirmed yet. Voice acting is genuinely superb from what we've seen so far. And let's be honest, that's not always a given these days. Now, first 4 hours are pretty much bug-free. Late game still has some issues in the build creators played last week, but the save system is solid enough that you won't lose much progress if it does bug out. The day one patch should clean up a lot of that. I'll be covering this game all the way to launch, so subscribe so you don't miss any Crimson Desert content.
Crimson Desert just revealed more insane new features. Recently, players have been showing off more screenshots and information from the recent creator event, and a bunch of new details have come to light. The first is an in-depth banking system where the player character can invest gold and silver into the bank, and yes, this includes gold and silver bars. Over time, depending on what you invest in, you can actually start earning residual income after checking your investment status. This makes it so players who really want to start building wealth can actually do that. Now, I'm not sure what implication this has in terms of what you can do with the earned investment, but considering that we can rebuild towns, it's very likely we'll have a good amount of upgrade you can actually utilize with this cash. On the other hand, the game actually features a conversion system where you can utilize the church to undergo conversions in certain regions of the world, allowing you to obtain increased resources depending on how much you donate to the church. This, in addition to the banking system, really goes to show that the money in the game is going to be a very important resource to obtain, especially for progressing and investing into the world. Personally, I'm super excited and I'll probably be investing a ton of gold into the market, but what do you think? Which of these two features are you most excited to try out?
I'll be covering all the latest Crimson Desert news and updates all the way up to launch, so make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss anything.
One game that really came to mind during our hands-on was Red Dead Redemption 2. At ground level, there is a surprising focus on navigating its densely populated areas with care and attention. We spent a lot of time just wandering the back alleys, interacting with people going about their day, finding new shops and cooking recipes, and even uncovering optional activities that do a good job of making the world feel bustling and lived in. In one instance, we encountered a man who fell from his roof and needed help with cleaning his chimney. And that is exactly what we ended up doing for this side quest. Despite the tone and action being serious, we're pleased to see how much humor and quirkiness were packed into Crimson Desert's opening hours. There are plenty of enemy bases to topple, but we also spent some time playing some back alley games of rock, paper, scissors with the local ruffians.
No crying if you lose.
There's even a quest that had us rescue an abducted sheep to cheer up an upset child, and seeing the very serious Cliff engage in such activities was much more amusing than we expected.
That's not Wooly! Wooly's got a fluffier tail!
It is not what it looks like. You may think because it's an open world adventure game with a sword that the combat would be pretty simplistic, but it's not rooted in attack, dodge, parry movesets like Dark Souls. It's not rhythmic and waiting for prompts to counter like Arkham. It doesn't even have a rock, paper, scissors dynamic like Ghost of Tsushima and Yote. Instead, your combat options are vast, and the mechanics are inspired by fighting games to chain your attacks in creative ways. You may think just because it's a fantasy game that you can ride on horses, dragons, and even bears. And that's true, but you'll also be able to ride a raptor and pilot a mech. You may think that because there are environmental mechanics like freezing water or electrifying metal that certain enemies will be more susceptible to those kinds of attacks. But in reality, no boss battle will require you to freeze them in place or lead them into a metal grid to stun them with lightning spells. It's all extremely open-ended, and this kind of gameplay might not be for everyone. So check out our full preview if you want a deeper dive into Crimson Desert's mechanics, like how to triple jump. Hint, it's not pressing the jump button 3 times.
will be difficult, and no, we're not talking about the actual combat, we're talking about the gameplay. Because Crimson Desert does not believe in hand-holding. There's no yellow paint that's guiding you along, smoke in the distance, firing torches that tell you where to go. You gotta figure out your own way. There's no companion walking next to you and telling you to maybe use a fire arrow. Hey Kratos, check out this cave there that you might have missed. If you miss it, you miss it. You will have to find your own solutions to problem, your own ways to get around a situation without the game taking you by the hand and leading you down the road.
Gameplay itself, this game is everything it appeared to be in the trailers. It is insane, it is massive, but it is also not going to be for everybody. If you're still holding out hope for a Red Dead 2 or Witcher 3 level narrative, you're not going to find it here, because that's just not what this game is. But if you're hoping for a vast sandbox with some honestly really surprising gameplay mechanics and interactivity, I think it's going to blow you away. This really is one of those games that you will either think is a generational 10 out of 10 as far as I can tell, or you're just not gonna get it. You're gonna be like, I don't know why people like this so much. And that is okay. Just like Breath of the Wild, just like other games that are fantastic, like Tears of the Kingdom or Red Dead 2 or something. There's games that some people love dearly and other people just don't get it. And that's okay. But that's why I'm telling you, if you like what the trailers are presenting, you're probably going to really like the game. But if you're holding out hope that there's actually some sort of insanely deep narrative or there's a bunch of choice and consequence in the story, that's just not what this game is.
This game looks incredible, and if you're worried about bugs, I've got that covered right here. But one thing I keep hearing over and over is that it might not be for everyone.
Is Crimson Desert going to be buggy? That seems to be one of the biggest questions about the game, and I'm here to answer it because I played the game for over 6 hours, including some endgame content, and I found out. The first thing I'll say is that performance-wise, the game was incredibly solid. In fact, I didn't have a single frame drop or hitch or stutter in my entire 6+ hours with the game. We were playing on PC on 9700 XTs, which are roughly equivalent to like a 5070 Ti. At least that's what the devs told me. That puts it in the range of like a $700 to $800 GPU, but even with that, they were running the game on ultra at ultra wide resolutions with everything cranked and no upscalers at all, like running natively. And honestly, it gets me optimistic that they're going to be able to hit a locked 60 FPS on console when the game launches. But when it comes to bugs and glitches and things, that's a separate question. Optimization is one side of performance, but bugs are the other. In my first 4 hours, I didn't have a single bug or glitch or crash or nothing. There were a couple of other people around me who had the occasional crash, but I was told by the devs ahead of time that there was a known GPU driver issue that will not be present when the game launches. However, once we go to the end game, that's where things got much more shaky. We basically played through a quest line which had you go into a sky island, complete a series of complicated puzzles, and then there was a big boss fight at the end of it. That puzzle had a good number of bugs. There were multiple times where like a button I had to push wouldn't push in, and the devs came over like, oh yeah, that's not supposed to work like that, okay. And they took a note to fix it and see if the people back in Korea building the game were aware of it. Overall, my personal time with the game was really solid. No frame drops, crashes, and the bugs I encountered were just a couple of ones during the puzzle section. However, there were other people around me who I do know had less luck with the game, had more crashes, had the occasional bug that would mess with their save, so they had to go back and load an even earlier save and lose more progress to catch back up, and I can see how that would be really, really frustrating.
I'll say it again. This game might not be for everybody, but it's definitely for me. Let me know in the comments if it's for you too.
Me thoroughly impressed. I don't think it's going to be a game for everybody. It is a sandbox game through and through, meaning you kind of have to motivate yourself to go and explore and do crazy stuff. But if you're looking at like this map and you're seeing stuff like the spire and you're seeing a city over there and you're seeing this spire over here and you're like, I want to go explore, I want to go find those things, this is the game for you, okay?
This is how it works. If you are the type of player who really enjoys games like Breath of the Wild, that's how this is structured as far as I can tell. And I'm okay with that. But some people will be frustrated by it. They want more story. They want more of a guided experience. They want more hand holding or whatever you want to call it. That's not what this game is, okay? To be very, very clear, that's not what this game is. This is kind of the anti-yellow paint game. There's very few tutorials in the game. A lot of it is left up to you figuring it out. As a result, if you're the type of player who's good at puzzles and good at sort of breaking things down and solving things and thinking creatively, you're gonna love it. You're gonna eat this up and probably have an easy time with it. Other people who like a little more guidance are going to struggle, I think. I think there's gonna be a lot of times doing puzzles where people just get totally stuck. They're gonna get frustrated because the game does not hold your hands.
Crimson Desert might have the most insane mount system in gaming. You start with normal horses, but as you explore Pyrewell, you can tame bears, wolves, and even raptors. And they're not just mounts. You can level them up and unlock combat moves like back kicks and maul attacks. Then things get freaky. Mid-game, you unlock a dwarven battle robot, basically a medieval mech with machine guns, missiles, and an EMP blast. And the in-game, you can literally ride a dragon and burn entire fortresses from the sky. With 29 different mounts rumored, the real question is this: is this the ultimate sandbox or total chaos? So which mounts are you taming first?
Any questions? Drop them below. I'll answer them and make more tutorials on Crimson Desert. Catch you in the next one.